Hello, so today we're going to play Relics of Athalen and let's watch the prologue. It was made by Lord Bass and it is a part of Gwyndelgard series, so let's watch the prologue. This scenario is a cinematic scenario, which means you just sit back, grab some snacks, enjoy the show. Okay. This campaign is the third part of the Gwyndelgard series and the sequel to Gwyndelgard and the Rockspring Revolution. If you haven't played these scenarios before, I highly recommend you to do so before starting this campaign, as the story here builds on both of these scenarios. If you don't want to play them first, or if your memory of the previous scenario is a bit vague, the quick recap below will get you back into the plot. 2 years ago, the country of Gwyndelgard was under occupation by its neighbor, the northwest Zoshi. Zoshi leaders, the witch queen Zafira and her right-hand Count Tengil, had launched a surprise attack and conquered most of the country in a matter of months. Gwyndelgard's future looked bleak. But in the southernmost province of Windhill, a rebellion started that soon spread to the rest of the Gwyndelgard, leading to an all-out war. The rebel leader Emmanuel, at first only out to rescue his girlfriend Emily from Zafira's prison cells, became a key figure of the Second Gwyndo-Zotian War, and led the Gwyndian armies to victory in the field. Count Tengil disappeared after the siege of Sarakran in the north, and after Zafira's stronghold in the capital had fallen, she sheltered herself on an island in the lake east of it. Emmanuel rediscovered the ancient artifact called the Relic of the Rock and used its powers to create a land bridge to the island, on which his armies marched across. After a fierce last stand, Zafira met Emmanuel in battle, and Emmanuel wounded and captured her. The occupation was finally over. Zafira was locked away in a top-security prison out in the ocean, and Emmanuel was knighted for his bravery by the ruler of Gwyndelgard, Lord Mezzengi. A year later, Lord Mezzengi called on Emmanuel to help him with a new problem: the readmission of the region of Rockspring into the kingdom of Gwyndelgard. During the Zotian invasion some years earlier, Rockspring had seized the opportunity to turn away from Mezzengi and declare itself an independent nation. Having thrown off the Zotian yoke, Mezzengi now wanted Rockspring back, and so did quite conveniently most of Rockspring's inhabitants, as they had been under a much lighter tax burden under Mezzengi than under the independent regime. Emmanuel joined Mezzengi to oversee the negotiations, but Mezzengi was soon forced to return home. There was trouble at the border with Zoshi again, and the Zotians had sent invading armies to plunder Gwyndian border towns. Simultaneously, the king of Rockspring was assassinated, and his throne seized by the Lord Commander, the radical nationalist Charles Lovewater, who imprisoned Emmanuel and was going to have him executed. With help from the prison guards, who were still loyal to Lord Mezzengi, Emmanuel escaped and found refuge in the southern town of Wellfield. From here he began the fight against Lovewater, and most of Rockspring was soon under his control. Lord Mezzengi sent in his army to assist Emmanuel, and Lovewater's stronghold Rockspring castle soon fell. But Lovewater himself was nowhere to be found. Soon after, Emmanuel and his companions and his accomplices found a hidden dockyard in the forest of eastern Rockspring, where Lovewater and none other than Count Tengil were building a fleet of gigantic monster ships called Blue Dragons. Tengil sailed away, and Emmanuel dueled with Lovewater and emerged victorious. Now Emmanuel is on his way back to Gwynhill, as he is puzzled by the events in Rockspring. Tengil is alive and constructing a fleet, but what is he going to use it for? Is Zafira somehow still involved in this conspiracy? And is he ever going to have time to propose to his beloved Emily. If you want a quick recap of what the Old Kingdom is, check the Scout section. Alright. Before starting the cinematic, make sure you have the right settings, okay. Apart from legends and oral traditions, very little is known about the Old Kingdom. The few old books that speak of it generally focus on the Day of Raining Rocks, a climatic event that allegedly killed off most of the kingdom's inhabitants and razed all of its cities to the ground. When the lands were resettled after this event, the settlers used the rubble of the fallen cities to build their own homes and towns, which resulted in the loss of most historical artifacts from that day. The Old Kingdom is said to have been an advanced civilization in the midst of primitive tribes, ruled by the wizard king Athalen. It expanded continuously and brought its wealth and technology to all areas it conquered or next. It had no exterior enemies that could ever match it, and because of Athalen's long and firm rule, it had no significant enemies on the inside either. It was when Athalen left the throne and left his immense powers to his heirs that all hell broke loose and war began that ended in the Day of Raining Rocks. What exactly happened and why is not known. Okay, so let's move on. Here it is, one of the last untouched remains of the Old Kingdom. Who knows what this might have been before the Day of Raining Rocks? Sir, what exactly was the Day of Raining Rocks? Does anyone know? I have been studying the Old Kingdom for 2 years now, and none of the professors have explained how or why it came to an end. That's the thing, lad. Nobody knows exactly how the Old Kingdom fell because there are no known records left from those days. The name Day of Raining Rocks comes from legend and folklore. It is said that some immense force of magic was unleashed upon the land, turning the world on its head and raining down rocks on the kingdom. And alas, historians know little more than the common man. Then again, if we're very lucky, we might uncover some unknown detail about it here today. Now come on, let's get to work, lad. The old kingdom of Eldor, 1,800 years earlier. Look, it's the Lord General. The Lord General is approaching. Open the gate. Greetings, my Lord General. Athalen has been expecting you. The kingdom of Eldor had been ruled for 1,000 years by the wizard King Athalen. He had profound understanding of the art of magic and used his powers to make the kingdom prosper and flourish. He controlled the rivers and redirected their flow. He stemmed the harshest winters and the hottest summers. And created cities and worlds out of thin air. Or so the stories went. He safeguarded the peace throughout the kingdom, but went to war against neighboring primitive tribes to expand his realm and spread civilization. Athalen was the very symbol of the kingdom, and he was seen more as a god than a man because of his immense magical powers. But alas, no golden age lasts forever. Alandor, whose entire existence rested upon Athalen's power and uniting force, was more vulnerable than anyone could imagine. After 1,000 years on the throne of Alandor, Athalen decided to retire and leave the world. To ensure that the kingdom's survival, he gave up most of his vast power, passed it into 4 artifacts, and gave them to his selected heirs. Followed by a procession of mourners, high leaders, and old friends, Athalen headed for the sea. Farewell, my children, my friends. Athalen sailed east into the open sea and was never heard of again. But Athalen's heirs, who were all great men, had none of his wisdom, honor, or deep love for the kingdom. With time they became filled with a lust for power and glory, each wanting to use the relics for their own purposes. A war broke out between the 4 heirs, a war for the control over the power of the relics. It was a war so devastating that the entire kingdom began to collapse from within. The old kingdom burned, cities and towns were razed to the ground, and millions forced away from their homes. Only to be massacred by the armies of the heirs, no matter what side they were on. A once great civilization fell into barbarism. This beacon of light fell into darkness. As the heirs did battle, the weaker quickly fell. Then only the 2 warrior generals remained. Escalon, protector of the West, the fearless, unconventional commander, and Hideris, cunning and defensive Lord General of Athalen's Golden Army. Having laid waste to the entire kingdom, their armies now marched towards the capital, where a council of wizards and monks opposed to both sides were keeping the relics hidden. The two armies met in battle on the plains of Gwyndelgard, just outside the capital. Hidarius, I see you have brought all of your rabble to face certain death here today. How noble of you. Escalorn, you funny rat, tell your men to leave this field right now. If you do, I will be a gentleman and only massacre half of them. If anyone needs to prepare for massacre, it is you, Hidarius. They are threatening to each other. I will see you on the battlefield. Brace yourselves, my fellow countrymen. This is the day we restore the peace to our beautiful kingdom. Remember your wives and children, all those innocent lives lost at the hands of that traitor Escalar. Today we confront evil itself. We will battle it head on, and we shall be victorious. Oh boy. Kill them all, sever their bodies, and leave none alive. Beyond this day lies only victory, a victory we shall all share. My brothers, to the death. Charge! Stand brave men, hold your ground. When they hit, push them back. To glory. The fool is trying to flank us with his archers. Cut them down. Days of bloodshed passed, and 100,000 men perished on the battlefield before their leaders found themselves face to face. We meet again, Worm. Let us settle this like real men. As you wish. Come back, you coward. Escalorn has fallen. Escalorn has fallen. Retreat! Victory! Victory! With Escalorn dead and his armies routed, Hidarius and I now turn to the city and his armies besieged it. Beyond the high walls, the city defenses were weak, and Hidarius' soldiers soon flooded the city. The council, fearing what Hidarius would become if he got hold of the relics, made a fatal decision. They unleashed the full power of the relics, eradicating the entire city and Cadarius' armies in an instant. And so the relics of Athalen were hidden and forgotten, and their very existence became just a legend. And yet, a secret so powerful is destined to be unearthed someday, either by corrupt minds or innocent souls. Here is Emmanuel. Lord Bass presents. Stormwind Studios production. The Relics of Athalen. Windhill Town, evening, present day. Windhill, it's good to be back. Emily. Well, there you are. You took your good time getting here, didn't you? It's a long ride from Rockspring to here. I got here as fast as I could. I see you've kept my new house in good order while I was gone, eh? If I have. I love this place, Emmanuel. We should get married right now just so I can move in. Well, I wouldn't say no to that. Father Garnes and question our planning and timing, though. Haha, yeah, I suppose so. Hey, what do you say we go inside and inaugurate this house? I wouldn't say no to that either. Meanwhile, somewhere off the coast of Gwyndelgard. Ever since her defeat in the war nearly 2 years ago, the Witch Queen Zafira of Zoshi has been locked up in this prison off the coast of Gwyndelgard. For almost as long, she had been contemplating and planning her escape. With all her magical powers taken from her, she is but a shadow of her former self. Yet despite harsh conditions, neither her beauty nor her will have been broken down. Seductively, Mr. Guard, could you give me a glass of water? I'm really thirsty. Certainly, miss. Thinking to herself, I have him wrapped around my finger. I can get out of this cage whenever I want. Now if only Tangle would get his lazy behind here. The eagle flew into the room and circled it. With his eyes fixed on Zafira, he gave out a single screech before disappearing again. Zafira, thinking to herself, a golden messenger eagle from the Zoshan courts. This has to be Tangle's signal. Here's your water, miss. Seductively, could you please come in and give it to me? I'm so tired, I can hardly walk. Well, sure, yes. No. Thank you. Two years of sickly sweet seduction finally pays off. Never again. I can never take out all of these guards alone. Where is Tangle? Alright, back to your post, man. Tea time is over. Captain, have you seen this? Seen what? What in the name of... what are those? They're headed this way, Captain. Everyone, man the defenses, go!
Raise the alarm!
She's on board. Set sail, set sail. Took your good time, didn't you? I came as fast as I could. It wasn't easy to find someone willing to build me a fleet of gigantic monster ships. I still have the orb you gave me. I suppose you want it back. As Zafira took the orb, she could feel her magic powers returning, almost as if her life force was flowing back into her. It's been long since I felt so powerful. things have not gone exactly according to plan since you were caught. I think if I've had little to no help from Zoshi since the war, I've had to do everything by myself. I finally managed to find someone willing to build the blue dragons for me, and then that foreign Manuel comes in and tries to stop me. Ha, so he came after you as well. He forced me to wreck half the fleet. I couldn't have him finding out what it would be used for. Always a nuisance. 5 ships should be enough though, hopefully. They're really evil. Now our first target has been moved to Gwynhill. It will be a long ride to get there. Gwynhill, so Emmanuel wants to keep it close to him, does he? I don't think he even knows what he has in his hands. Of course he doesn't. How could he? Very well, we'll ride to meet him. Perhaps this time I get to meet his charming girlfriend and tear her limb from limb. Haha. What a fool. Man, we are riding out. Another bloody skirmish. And you still haven't been able to contact King Weller. No, my lord, the Zoshu King refuses to talk with us. What does he think he's doing? Sending his men to raid our towns across the border? This isn't like him. Magnus MacAnthony, if I may ask, my lord, why do we not retaliate, send an army to Zoshi and teach him a lesson? I am very tempted to do just that, but until my army returns from Rockspring, there is little we can do. Very well, MacAnthony, I must return to the capital. I will leave you to defend our borders. It will be my pleasure, my lord. A few days later. Hang on, I'm outside. Father Garnus, it's been such a long time. Come inside, have some tea. Emily was just here and left some fresh baked bread. Oh, I'm sorry, Manuel. I'm not hungry. I have something very important to tell you. Is this about me and Emily, Father? You don't have to worry about us. We are planning to get married very soon. It's just that this affair in Rockspring. Oh, calm down, Emmanuel. It's not about that. No, I'm afraid I have some less cheerful things to talk about. Come, walk with me. How did she escape? The prison was attacked by gigantic metal-clad ships. They blew a hole into prison walls and Zafira jumped on board. Iron-clad ships, Tangle must have sent his blue dragons to free her. But where has she gone? Back to Zoshi? They're looking for her all over the country, but I think I know where she's headed. She's coming here, Manuel. Here, why on earth? Let me explain. As you may recall, after the war we took the relic from the rock back with us as a trophy. Yes. Ever since then, I have been studying it and reading about it. I've dug up ancient literature about it, and I believe, you know about the relics of Athalen, Manuel. Vaguely, I know the legend. Yes, it said that Athalen transmitted all his powers in 4 artifacts, which were then hidden far away. I believe that the relic of the rock is one of those relics. Far away around the world, alright. You mean You think they actually exist? Yes, I do. If I'm right and Zafira knows about this as well, then we must do everything in our power to stop her. Who knows what she would... Well, if she shows up to claim it, we'll be waiting for her. I will get the guards ready. Good night, Father. Who knows what she would do with all that power. Okay. Later that night. Yawning. So, why are we up to close to midnight guarding this bridge again? The captain said he heard Zafira was on the loose and on her way here. Apparently he believes any bull he hears. Well, they better pay us overtime for this, don't they? Who goes there? Hold your horses. Oh, don't worry, we're a band of riders, just passing through. Oh, alright then. Passing through to kill you. Oh no, she's going to fire a garden. Can you smell that? What smell? It smells like smoke. Oh no. Burn it to the ground. Oh look who's here, my favorite nemesis. This time you won't catch me so easily, Manuel. Emmanuel, wake up, Emmanuel. What happened? You were knocked out by one of Zafira's magic tricks. Are you injured? No, I'm fine. I'm just dizzy. Where is Father Garnas? He didn't make it. Zafira killed him. Teary-eyed. Did you get him out? Did you get his body out? Yes, we did. He's in the town hall. Don't worry, Manuel will avenge him. Indeed we will. And the relic of the rock? Zafira took it. What about it? Rest in peace, Father. Crying tears. This is an act of war. If Zafira did this with help from Zoshi, then it is more than enough to justify retaliation. Zafira killed a close friend of mine. If you want me to lead the counterattack, I will. I was just going to ask. The four of us will lead the charge into Zoshi. Marvin and Rob, you must lead a second army from Windhill around the front line and into Zoshi. And make sure you arrive before the war is over this time. We'll try our best. See you in Zoshi. Aftermath. It is after midnight and darkness has finally fallen over the camp. It is the start of the summer and every night the sun sets a little later. Their army has been on constant march since they left the capital 3 days ago, stopping only at nightfall for a long break. A break that is getting shorter every day. Emmanuel and Emily are standing at the opening of their tent, looking up at the star-filled sky. Emmanuel is just about to pull off a corny comment about how beautiful stars are, reflecting in her eyes, when he sees Darrow and Felicity coming towards their tent. He waves at them and invites them in. On the dirt floor in the center of the tent, a fire crackles and spreads its warm light. The four of them sit around, letting the flames warm them. Felicity sits peering deep into the flames, into the red around her eyes unnoticeable in the glow of the fire. "How are you holding up, Felicity?" Emmanuel says. "I'm fine," she says, giving him a quick glance. She tries to smile, but it quickly fades. "She's as strong as ever," says Darrow, laying his arms around her. When Felicity was 7 years old, her father passed away very suddenly. As she was the youngest of 6 siblings, all the others boys much older than her, and her mother died giving birth to her, Felicity had no one to take care of her. She lived for a while with her oldest brother and his wife, but when they got their own children to take care of, the local priest took her under his wing. That priest was Father Garnas. For 10 years she lived in Gwynhill Chapel, and Garnas treated her like his own daughter. She helped him take care of the gardens, repaint the windows of the chapel, did the cooking. Garnas taught her how to read and write, and taught her theology and philosophy. And even after she moved out, they were still very close. When Garnas died at Zafira's hands, it hit her hard, as if she relieved her father's death. "It's still so unreal to me," she says, sniffling. "It's unreal for all of us," Emily says. Felicity rests her head on Darrow's shoulder. Emmanuel looks at her in sympathy. He too was very fond of Garnas, as everyone in the village, but Felicity had always been the one closest to him, the daughter he never had. "I'm sure you'll feel better when I hand you Zafira's head on a plate," Darrow says. Felicity laughs. "Gee, Darrow, you really know how to comfort a girl, don't you?" It has been 2 weeks since they left Gwynhill, 3 since the death of Father Garnas. They are still coming to terms with his passing, and yet their minds must soon be set on other things, on strategy and war. As the fire dies out, they fall asleep around it, one by one. In a few days they will reach the ocean border. Then it is time to bring the battle to Zafira's homeland. Garnas' death will be avenged, and his research on the relics will help them keep up with Zafira. He will not have died in vain. Okay guys, this should be it. We'll see you in the next chapter. So long.